Hi-ho, beefer! Away!
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Chris Cast, sponsored this season of 22 of Highlander by Manco.store, as we drop the curtain for the opening game of Season 22 of ETF2L's Highlander season. And it is the Premiership division, of course, the top echelon of European gameplay. And in week one, we have Badwater Pro. And I'm CeeJaey, and I'm joined on production by Wiethoofd and Domaytoe as my co-caster. And this should be a pretty interesting game, don't you think, Dom?
Chatisme. Romani ve aeternum secundum.
I swear, if you keep talking Latin this game, I'm going to get Wiethoofd to replace you.
We are going live right now if you just tuned in, or if you tuned in onto YouTube. You can also watch this on Twitch just by the wayside. We have Feila eSports going against VENI VIDI VICI as the gates do open up and people are getting ready to prepare for this fight here. And once again, also for the VOD on YouTube, because players want to have the knowledge, we're predicting, or at least CeeJaey is predicting, a 2-1 for Feila eSports. And the winning condition, I think we both can agree here, is how big the flank is going to work for VENI VIDI VICI. But then again, I think the Feila flank is not so much of a literal pushover either, so I think it's difficult. They won't sit timidly in corners as well, so I think even though it's probably going to hurt, but you know, just going to throw the prediction to them to prove me otherwise, I say 2-0 to Feila eSports. But don't lose your hope just now. It is the first game of the season, so we'll have to see what they make do here. And what I usually like seeing is the suicide wave, but they're even on the offense as well, so they can set the pace, and we'll have to see.
Yeah, 3 seconds until we start the first game of Season 22 of ETF2L Premiership Highlander, sponsored by Manco.store. Will be VENI VIDI VICI in the blue, attacking first, setting a time. Feila eSports in the red, defending. And they'll be trying to beat that time afterwards. It does look like Mac is going for the Kado, using that sticky jumper. We see Thomas with Bonk, but a little bit late there, and a lot of players going down here. 4v3, not really getting much of a return from that suicide wave. Layla hasn't had to use her Uber yet, and the car is slowly but surely making its way through that tunnel. And we'll just have to see if V3 go in again. Hugo and Mac flying through the air, lots of pressure down, lots of damage. But it's just that dispenser that is tanking. That body armor for the medic is taking all of that pressure. And yeah, Feila sitting pretty at the moment on this first point.
On the first suicide wave, their Honcho took a lot of damage. This was definitely the key factor there, or the most that they got out of the first suicide wave. On the second suicide wave, the soldier jumped into Wrangled level 3 sentry gun, got dealt with that, and the demo jumped into the heavy. So both going to get stagnant into the air. Girek getting piped there all across the map. They're going to push in from left side right now, using early.
Yeah, there's a sap actually from Sneaky onto the sentry. Doesn't get pressured quickly enough. Mac does take it down in the end. They're losing a lot of players here, but Layla gets taken down. Nutricooler with the body shot will remove the medic from the playing field. God's Aries is alive. Not in a great position here. His grip is going to use the flare. He's going to jump onto God's Aries. He's going to dodge around. He's going to stay alive. The soldier comes in. TK with the rocket will take down the medic. There's a lot of people dying here. Unforgiven is trying to get away up those rocks, but gets caught out. Only 3 alive now. The sentry is going to go down. The teleport has been sapped. And other than losing God's Aries there, Dom, I feel like that was a really, really good push coming out of E3.
They might have just quelled their thirst there for over-aggression for this entire map. Feila eSports, since they stayed in with like 3 or 4 players just to get the medic fragging, it worked in the end. They only have a 20% advantage here onto the offensive team, who's just going to go from a trot into a counter as they're just racing forward here, and probably even going to build it quite equally here with the Ubers itself. Only 2 minutes it took, and the first point really was very prolific as they just pushed past the left side, but action does shift very, very fast here in Highlander as Hugo tries to get something on the top, only gets a face full of bullets there, and Sneaky going to fall as well, so this might slow a little bit, and the second hasn't even been kept, so I think it's a fair play onto them having to wait for their response.
Yeah, I mean, I like what V3 are doing here. They're getting extremely aggressive, trying to get Mac and Nutricooler to kind of get the space, maybe go for a big pick, but you got to be careful against a team like Feila. They have that experience. They know how to punish people who overextend. And, you know, it's a risky business, but it can pay off. High risk, high reward. Nutricooler going for the snipes now, trying to maybe go for somebody up the top. I don't think it's going to work. Sneaky is, being as his name suggests, sneaky, but he gets caught out there. by the scout and the demo, and a big suicide. Well, no, not even a suicide. It's an Uber exchange. Mac taking this Uber forward, trying to get some damage down to the sentry, but the counter Uber is just going to be so much better. No real pressure coming in from anywhere else, and this is the point, right? It's third point, and Badwater Pro has made some changes in order to make this point supposedly easier to push. And I do think it is. But look at Hugo, he's going in, he's taking his high ground, he knows what to do. But Kuroi with a nice headshot onto Thomas. This is going to be the breaker, I think, Dom. I think if V3 can get a decent time here, then they can really put their foot down for this competition and say, yeah, we're here, and we're here to play to win. But
Kuroi
I feel
just
like...
getting a... Oh, sorry.
Kuroi just getting... Feila need to be careful.
Yeah, they need to be careful to request demos after that. Kuroi just got a meaty close range headshot, so maybe you request demos after this game. Okay, enough of that. Sneaky is going to sneak through once again. When Feila re-pushed there into the point, when they had the way better Uber, they did that in Unition, as that just worked out so well for them. Max so weak, they once again try to do this suicide wave or even just get the damage forward and help their players to walk into a bit more aggressive situations as the card is still far back. They try to get cheeky with a level 2 sentry gun there on the tracks as well, but as you pointed out earlier, this third point is probably, potentially easier to push, but you need to have some coordination there. Usually what was a more recent meta game that got involved is you push from boiler and such, and then you use your Uber to get your players onto high ground, and it's even easier this way with this new flank, but the Feila Uber is just going to counter this Uber from VENI VIDI VICI coming in from top left, sentry level 2 going down, and once again not a lot of ground being taken here.
Yeah, Honjo going down there means the sentry can be spammed, and Max trying to do it does take it down with those stickies, so no sentry to deal with. Maybe an opportunity. Kuroi takes down Karik and he drops the sentry that he was carrying. Bit of aggression coming in from Feila, just cleaning up some players, and wow, Joe with the pipes takes down Godzeri, so no medic for V3 right now, and that's huge. Just when it looked like they'd broken a bit of a stalemate, they've got that sentry down, they were able to take some more space, they lose their medic, just getting a bit too aggressive without the right positioning.
And they have 65% disadvantage at the end of that, but right now Feila are in a kind of passive position compared to before, but CeeJaey just gets fully charged body shot. Their Sneaky is going to sneak some cap time forward, which is usually what you want to do as a spy. Your KD doesn't look all that well, but it doesn't matter if you just win, as so much just actual ground here being taken by VENI VIDI VICI, just going to grab it all, the Roman Empire charging forward and maybe annexing a new country. Kuroi also getting stabbed there, probably going to be the keyword for Feila to back out of here. They have Uber advantage, but if you don't have the personnel for it, it doesn't even matter all that much, as we are looking at a 6-minute mark close. They're going into the 4th point.
Yeah, and the sentry gets taken down as well, because it was built in the drop down area on the left, and you know, in that situation, you're talking about 65% disadvantage. We turned into equal Ubers now, and they've taken the 3rd point. And the way that they play, that's almost like the way that Feila or even like Envision used to play, that pure kind of just going in and hoping for the DM fight. And the sentry gets sapped. It's being wrangled. It's only level 1. The counter Uber is going to come in. Mac is getting caught in here. Probably will die. The only person who's died for the defending side is Honjo. So no sentry for red right now. But pretty much cancelled Uber. And I think that maybe Feila are a bit rocking after that 3rd point. They're not really prepared to deal with the aggression from V3 in these kind of stalemate situations. Normally it's them who are the aggressors. Normally they're the ones who like to, you know, play off that chaotic gameplay. But looks like V3 are trying to bring it to them as well.
I would be quite content with that time, though. I think game is going to slow down quite heavily here for Feila. They tried to rush this push there by V3, just going onto the sentry gun there with Sneaky, just putting themselves onto the low ground. Maybe should have played the high ground as they're doing it right now. Mac and Aris both on a Pride on top. They don't have Uber, but they have all the space that is given to them. They need to get frags here. The Honcho going to get stabbed though. Thomas jumping into the sticky trap as they're going to use onto them here. Aris is so weak into the air, going to get flamed down. They stayed too far forward with Uber disadvantage, and it cost them dearly. Yeah,
Godzeri's was 98% there. They had to be careful. I mean, in Highlander, it is possible to get these disadvantages of about 10-15% without even realizing, just because you're healing people, you're not really actively building like you do in sixes, and they were just a little bit too close. And 98%, so close. If he'd had the Uber there, they would have used it and may well have ended up cleaning house and winning the round. But you see how small these mistakes can be that can lead into big situations, and we're going to be continuing. NutriCooler though sending Kuroi to the respawn queue for another 20 seconds. Have to see what happens if V3 want to take advantage of that. Their disadvantage is only about 30% now in terms of Uber, and they still want to get aggressive with it.
Yeah, they're going to walk into some walls of spam here right now, and there's still this little sticky trap as Mac is just going to just spam it from the high ground. TK is going to get down Honjo as well. Once again, Revolver down there, and the flank is just going to initiate onto the enemy team as they're just going to stay a bit safely there into their lower area. As once again, the Uber is going to get popped out, though gets cleaned up there on the high ground, the rest of the VENI VIDI VICI players. But this time around, Aris escaping with his life and with his 60 or 70% Uber advantage once again. I like the initiative that they have to walk in, because usually on points, at some open points, you have a bit of a panoply of options that present themselves to you, but here you have to actively go for them and look for them. And I mean, they have to cap this, I think, in the next 1 or 2 minutes, otherwise it's looking terribly, but I like the initiatives that they are taking right now.
Yeah, they're using the super advantage. They're chasing Joe into the spawn. He will go down. TK backstabbed by Sneaky, and they're just swarming around, trying to get as many frags as possible. Unforgiven will get a kill onto Blur though, so that heavy on the high ground has been eliminated from the equation, and now comes the push. Grip trying to do as much as he can, but can't do it. NutriCooler will land a headshot onto Layla, and it should be here. Or actually a couple of kills. Unforgiven on a 3-kill streak will take down NutriCooler again. God's Ares gets taken down, but the car will roll in. 9:29 is a pretty long time. There was that stumbling block of third and last, but I feel like V3 are winning these fights based on just going in and taking fights, and Feila are trying to play it, like, for once in their life, like, Feila are the more traditional Highlander team, and maybe it's rocking them a bit, but they're still going to be favourites for this round, surely, Dom.
Yeah, I mean, but what we saw there, I mean, 1 or 2 situations that didn't work out in their favor, and some unforgiving points there in the literal meaning of words being a third and a fourth. And the issue really is when you're on the other side of the medal and have to defend this, then maybe Feila will not well, take this long on these sort of points. So I think it really is a coin toss at some point. As I was saying, I was seeing some promising initiatives. And maybe it worked out for them if they maybe get like Aris out a bit more and just keep him protected when they do this aggressive foray. But what we saw there, obviously, post-factual commentary, which they won the follow-up push, that was so 10 seconds to go down here, and we'll have to see. Usually a suicide wave here favors in a very aggressive team, but as I always preach, you also need to have your spy on the same wavelength, maybe set the gun, and for this you need a bit of Highlander coordination, but we'll see as the gates do open up on the offense for VENI VIDI VICI.
Yeah, we'll see what we do. Say Joe jumps behind, and actually, oh no, he's going to crater. No, he's at 3 HP. He's being chased by Hugo. He's gone all the way behind, and Hugo is just trying to deny him right now. Maybe, you know, Joe's going for that teleporter. I'm watching this. It's like MGE on Badwater Last. Okay,
and Badwater Last.
Okay, there we go. Hugo takes down Joe, so no suicide wave. I don't know if anything else has gone on. I wasn't watching. No, nothing else has happened. We've not missed anything. It's fine. But the cart's being pushed just to the edge of the tunnel. Blur and Karik Sentry are watching it, and here comes TK, maybe ready, along with Grip and the Jetpack. All the players are coming in, going for that suicide wave, sending a ton of damage. God's Ares goes down to about 30 HP and has to use that Uber.
Yeah, that was around 300 or 400 damage there, because the dispenser also exploded. I'm just going to give him the benefit of the doubt and say that it tanked it all, but they're going to get onto Honcho. There are 4 players swarming the tunnel, maybe expecting there was a bit more of players there as the solo engineer going to get fought off there 4 versus 1. But once again, they're assuming this left side position here. Joe just going to push in, and Aris is kind of just caught out there as on the low ground. He drops his corpse, that is, as the snipes just coming from Kuroi once again. Oh no, sorry, Dom. That is him. Maybe, as I was saying, request demos after that, but they're going to go forward here. Blur is still behind. They have some players behind. They have to watch out that they don't get, you know, taken down once again, as Feila is eyeing up this third point, maybe even. Oh,
Thomas and Hugo though, they were waiting inside the lobby, and they've blocked the car. They've killed Fong and Honjo, and now people are coming back. TK's there, and the combination, they're just fragging. They've blocked the car, and look at where the combo is for Feila right now. They're so far forward on third, but the car's not moving because the V3 flank is just DMing them on the cart right now. And yeah, at the moment, Fong goes down again. Unforgiven goes down to Gambit. Yeah, they're just getting out DM'd. They can't push the car.
They're winning the 2 versus 5. Welcome to HL Premiership season 22. It takes the entire combo once again to go back to the card. That was fantastic. They are still alive, by the way. Kuroi going to get just 5 there in the front. I can't even explain this. They're still spawn camping an entire team. Unforgiven is so weak. This flank is just rubbing it into their faces.
Yeah, and it's meant that V3 can now gain control of second. Piyaka has gone down there. Uber's used. And Blur will get taken down by that extinguisher from Grip. The counter Uber comes in, a lot of damage being put out. Joe goes down, but this is looking like it could turn a little bit nasty for V3 because there we go. Feila do get that second cap with 6.5 minutes left on the clock, and TK starts to take that space, jumping forward. And surely this is going to be a push onto third now. And
this is a bit mind-boggling what happened in the last 2 minutes, I think, how we can put this, but then again, they still have 6.5 minutes. We have to see if they get into this clutch short. I think in situations like this, you usually just realize how long they held the third point, because that felt like a long time what they did there in the second, but that was only 1 or 1.5 minutes, which is still fair enough, but see here, V3 is even opting for the forward hold.
Yeah, they're doing this forward hold with the sentry just on the top of the stairs. It doesn't really watch the cart, so Fong's getting a cheeky bit of camp time, and that sentry will go down to Kuroi. So now this is a chance for Feila to maybe take advantage of this space. Both teams have Uber. Karik is extremely weak, but is just getting a bit of HP, getting a bit of metal, and getting that sentry up. And this is interesting. This is the hold that I think is, the forward hold on Badwater Pro that people like to use, and if it wasn't for the fact that V3's flank was blocking the cart for so long, they would definitely not even be able to get a hold on third at all. So we were talking about the flank. Nutricula a little bit too far forward there, gets taken out. No sniper, and that means Joe sees blood. He tastes blood in the water. He's going to go forward. No sniper. He's able to take that space for free. Go forward. Big jump in. TK takes down Blur. Hugo's also gone down, and the Force. Only 5 up for V3, and this is not looking good for them right now.
This forward hold is usually a bit weak against, as you alluded to, the scout being pushed, but also about explosive damage classes just going to spam you quite eagerly there in forward positions. I'm getting a bit of PTSD back from Season 11, because that was also an issue back in the day, but once again people have opted for this forward hold as they used so early here. Joe is going to get solo flash on there after the Pyro also going to get flash, but they don't get all that much done with it. Mech is going to fall, but this third point has been long lost as Hugo is still trying to nuke something in from the top, but no, a little mini sentry is going to kill big Hugo there. And once again, 4.5 minutes. It's a bit more about nerf right now, but it is audible. They just have to keep their players together.
Yeah, Joe's going to go in for the early suicide. His team knows that TK's going, but he couldn't physically get through the door. That sentry was just denying him. He was so close to getting some damage down there onto the medic, but there is an advantage here. Godzary's with the 100% right now. Layla down to about 50%. And extremely weak, 9 HP. She's getting damaged hard and isn't able to really go forward. Has to back all the way out of third in order to get some health. And Thomas down, Sneaky down. Maybe Feila are going to just start trying to DM this and try and get a force.
The solo spy sap is not going to achieve anything. You need to collie that with your team, but they once again inexorable as they try to walk forward here. Fong with the Pyro even on this card, but Grip going to lose the grip on this card itself. Fong also going to get killed as Joe just gets his head taken off. Someone, I think God's Ares, that might be, or even the Pyro, I think Gambit on a 7k, they're just going to kill a lot of stragglers. I'm just going to call it like that. It is still 100% for each team, so we have to eye this next Uber exchange once again, but I think also what Feila need to do here is coordinate a bit better on the sentry gun. I see the blue spies just going on it alone there, but they're taking their sweet time here to get something working.
Yeah, they're trying to go in through map room. They force Blur out, but Grip gets taken down by Nutricula. TK's trying to jump up the top. They were trying to get some space in macro. Makuri actually has taken down Nutricula, so no sniper for the defending side. And Hugo is also dead for another 10 seconds, so this is going to give a lot of space Actually seeing the Uber used much earlier by Feila. It's a solo Uber onto Joe. They're just backing right here, maybe trying to base some people down, but Grip doesn't get a flash of that Uber, and he's just going to die there. Mac is being extremely aggressive, doesn't have the support of his team right now though, and Feila have control of the high ground. They've got a Sentry, they've got a Heavy, they've got a lot of players up the top, but Layla dies to Max Stickies, and that's going to initiate people to just jump forward. Godzaries can defend himself with the arrows, takes down Fong. TK's also gone down. It's pretty much chaotic right now. People on the card. Gambit getting another kill, adding to that kill streak. In comes Grip onto the medic. Can he stay alive? He's on fire right now, but no, he will live. And in all of that, it does look like V3 have held on. Just over 2 minutes to go.
I will still give Feila credit for that one, though. They stayed so far forward. They were also weak, but they put in way more headaches into V3 there that they had any right to do, because they all went so weak, as Layla then also just succumbed to pipes there as they're trying to walk forward here. Still with this 6% disadvantage, as we saw before. Maybe they even need to get aggressive here, but the heavy versus heavy showdown is all that's going to get down there. Fong is going to just completely nuke the heavy out there. So aggressive here, going to get forced out once again, but Layla dies. Thomas just being the hero there and salvaging this once again, as they have fought them off, and it's only 1.5 minutes to go, even with a little Uber advantage once again.
That was really well played by Feila. They were just pushing forward, just being like, hey, I'm going to try and make you use that Uber. And Godzaries just really didn't want to use it. He even dropped Blur. He was like, no, I'm not going to use the Uber. But then when the entire combo was in their face, he had no choice but to try and keep his team alive by popping that charge. And that would have been perfect from Feila, for the fact that Layla just died. I mean, if you're going to try and go for a force, you cannot lose your medic in the situation. And Thomas with the clutch kill there, but if Feila have got just 1 minute on the clock now, they have a huge disadvantage. They've got to go forward. Joe, Piyaka, Fong, they're all dying here. Godzaries hasn't been touched so far, and the car is not moving.
Uh-oh, I have seen this before, as TK walking into a sentry gun there from the spiral. I like this initiative once again, that they have to take different rounds, but they're doing it one at a time. It is only one last Uwe exchange here, and someone is probably still sweating, as they might be looking at a bit of a chimeric here right now, as they have to crack this once again down with being behind though, as trying to assume caught position here. Feila eSports just taking a lot of damage before the Uber even has to be popped, and it's going to be popped on Joe right now.
Yeah, but V3 have to flash a lot here. Mac was extremely weak before the Uber. Thomas is going to take down Unforgiven, so no spy shenanigans going on. Feila have all got the high ground, but the question is, can they drop down and start cleaning up some of these weak players? Mac is extremely weak, gets some health with that arrow. Joe is caught underneath. The Gambit is there, but can't get the kill onto him. There's people on the car, 9 seconds to go. Grip is there, but only 3 alive for Feila, and I don't think it's going to be enough. No, 3 seconds left on the clock. V3 will surprisingly take that round, holding for over 9.5 minutes.
As we're going live onto the second map, but I'll just judge that from clear and cold numbers, which we haven't looked about for this for the single round. We'll probably have a combined log analysis after the game itself, but I can just maybe point out 1 or 2 interesting facts here. I mean, Joe is still on the second spot there with 16 kills, but top fragging there was actually Thomas, and from the first 5 or 6 players, that is, 5 were kill-wise VENI VIDI VICI players, and it's probably going to be quite well for them on the KDs as well, which usually just shows you how they just played around their positions there. But also I think there's some plays that can't be combined into numbers, and that was a 30 or 40 second period where a flank 2 players out-DM'd like 7 players from the spawn there, which definitely helped them get the grip onto the game itself. The issue with Feila that I see, these players really just turn up when they can flourish in the fact that it works as they want to play it, as in they are the aggressor, they are going aggressive, so their players can perform. But once again, finally, they're being taken a bit off guard there, so we'll have to see, as once again though, the suicide wave is not going to get caught just instantly. I got baited there a bit by the jump, but yeah, the card is just going to get pushed forward, and maybe players want to get aggressive.
Yeah, I mean, oh, actually, Godzaries does drop. I was going to say, Joe went behind and looked like he was doing the same strat as before, but jumps back in, actually does the Kado, hits a pipe, launches Godzaries into the air, and the drop comes in as Kuroi hits him with a body shot. So no medic for the defending team right now, no pyro either, but Layla drops! Sneaky sneaks in and manages to equalize. So one game where we saw 0 drops, and now we've seen 2 drops in the space of about 20 seconds, and I guess, Dom, things go back to square one.
Yeah, And I haven't seen a medic die in this sort of scenario when they push top right. Usually your pyro checks after that, so something must be really lacking into communication as they just got bereft there of their advantage of having a medic up, as Sneaky going to use an instant kill mechanic that is going to be the knife, as Feila is trying to go aggressive here on the left side, but the enemy team still has a sniper up, as Grip is the first one who has to get a grip onto reality, as the bullet gets a grip onto his head, as so many players want to get aggressive through the left side, but Mac falling there finally to the counter espionage, as they don't want to give up this ground here right now, but the enemy sniper is still up and they're still holding bravely onto this high ground.
Yeah, they have no demo now, so this is a... have to be careful. Hugo's just died. Mac is respawning, but there's no... oh, the Uber's going to come out here and they're going to start cleaning up. Layla does escape. She's in spawn, safer than sound. But 100% Uber charge in her hands now. The question here is it going to be the same as what happened before? Blair is running the Natasha. I don't know why. But the thing is, what we saw in the first round was they did this exact thing. They had an Uber disadvantage, and it looks like Feila are going to go through a tunnel push, a tunnel Uber perhaps, trying to get that sentry down. And they've used really, really early. If V3 can hold on to this, they could hold on to first for a much longer time. And they're not getting anywhere close to God's Ares.
Yeah, they need to be way faster there. They need to have a fast players just to even get around the corner, but their pyro is just going to fall there, and also Blur going to drop to the low ground, kill the medic, but Ares going to get killed there just in the nick of time, as they even pushed past them. Would have been trapped out as well though, and that might even cost them dearly. I mean, the second point these days is just going to be up for the grabs here, as Mac is still trying to pressure, going to get Fong. Maybe they want to subvert some expectations, as Fong is still dying here, also Kuroi, but the second point is probably going to go down quite so soon, as a high bomb going to come in here from TK, only going to find his hard counter. Gambit a bit confused, as all pyros must be, but once again knocking on 3 minutes here.
Yeah, they've 3 minutes for the first 2 points, and they also have this bit of an Uber advantage. This is not going to be as comfortable a hold on third. You can see already Karik has got that level 2 sentry in the window. Doesn't want to do a forward hold because, well, his team just does not have an Uber advantage. They have about a 40% dis-add, and Joe is already trying to get forward. Mac is trying to DM. Wow, with the pipes takes him down. Grip also gets headshot by Nutricooler. TK trying to take some of that high ground, but just gets denied by a whole bunch of players. So maybe a bit of a suicide attempt there. I'm not sure why, because Feila should know that they have an advantage, but Kuroi is lurking in Boiler. No, decides to change and reposition. But yeah, it does look like it's going to be enough time for V3 to get an Uber and maybe just stabilize a little bit here.
Definitely need to support Mac. We saw how he pulled all these pipes through the enemy team here, as they're going to give some ground here though up, as Joe is just going to stand on Pride once again and spam just long range, though everybody dies on the tracks itself. Also Joe, Kuroi, Grip, so many frags going into his frag folder there from Sneaky, stabbing his way through enemy flashy backs. Once again they even want to get aggressive here. The entire enemy combo of VENI VIDI VICI is going to leap forward here, as wow, the pipes from Mac shutting down TK. He's going to explode into some bloody pieces, as they wanted to get aggressive, they did that, and they didn't even lose a play here. As Joe is trying to leap on top there and trying to spam something over the roof itself, some fabled sticky placements there, but they're still taking their sweet time here to engineer themselves positions for this incoming Uber push.
Yeah, I mean, this is the kind of way that people like to play. You know, if you get that space, take that space. You know, go forward and see if you can get some more kills. And there we go. Joe goes down, trying to get aggressive, but can't really seem to get an angle on the sentry. Seeing it is in this defensive position. Looking at Karik, he stood like on the shelves inside the house, so he has a position where he's able to deny tracks, but also this top area. It's a really interesting place to stand. But Mac is just getting so aggressive, just making sure no one takes that balcony area for free. And as soon as he puts out some damage, you see Hugo and Thomas decide to go forward. But Uber is going to be used by Feila eSports. They're going to go forward. They do take down the sentry, actually, but TK, Kuroi, Joe are all dying by the wayside during that Uber. They're trying to get some cap time, but Blur is on the high ground and will deny any presence on that cart. Layla is extremely weak, down to 13 HP. Can she survive? Trying to get away. She does live but has to go back almost to first in order to get away from danger. And that's how aggressive V3 are being. As soon as they have an advantage, whether it's player or position or Uber, they are just getting aggressive and chasing, going for those kills.
Yet the combo did stay at medium distance, which they needed to stay at to survive there. They didn't get too overly aggressive and realized at what distance they have to stay to keep alive here, because this is the most important part onto defense. You don't want to give them easy ground, and Joe is so weak, going to get once again pressured out by this flank. They're doing so much grip, falling as well. Honcho dying, and TK is going to jump Mac, but just about does not get it as he gets his mouth full of pipes. And Blur once again just rotating around this balcony. I really like that they rather played this around from their advantageous positions and don't get pulled out there, as Feila sometimes get a bit prying forward, and I don't know why, because usually you need to have your entire team on tower. They basically screwed up like 2 pushes already because they lost Joe a bit early on there, as Kuroi also going to fully charge body shot. They once again use quite early here.
Yeah, they use the Uber, but they're just losing players. Karik does go down though to Joe. That sentry, extremely weak, will probably die in the aftermath of this. Maybe I spoke too soon actually. The level 3 is surviving. No engineer means that it should be easily spammed, but again, Feila using this Uber extremely early. They get success on the sentry, which has just gone down to that enforcer shot from Unforgiven. But they get the sentry, but they don't get much else. And because the Uber, oh no, the trap on Mac, and Layla goes down to Nutricula. This is going to trigger Feila to go forward and go for a suicide, where they're actually getting some decent cap time and actually some decent positioning here. And that's going to take V3 out of their comfort zone to try and DM some people. Thomas gets a lot of damage down on Piyaka, but it's going to take Mac to finish them off. And they use God's Ares.
Yeah, in the end there, the soldiers snuck in. I like when we stop at they get triggered. Hopefully they get a bit maybe woken up there, as Feila need to be maybe more aggressive and don't sleep in, as I just feel like they have been playing right now. They need still to win some games here. Sneaky is still onto the sniper. They are having a little skirmish in the backlines, where this point is still not completely given to them for free, as Nutricula finally going to get shut down there by Unforgiven in the back, and that just summons the entire VENI VIDI VICI team out of this point. It's going to take 8 minutes there to cap 3 points. They're going to look quite content with that time, but Joe is already spearheading this and trying to take this in, because they need to make amends for their long time.
Yeah, and they actually they lose grip, but they do take down Blur. Big jump in from TK. He's got onto God's Ares. Karik is there. He's trying to throw his body in the way. God's Ares can't get into the spawn. And TK will get the kill. Gets the mid kill. Oh, Dom, how did Layla die?
She died almost in spawn. Usually have a spawn a further back key for that, but on the other side as well, the flank did quite well there and just killed Layla there, sorry, and God's Ares on the other side just didn't about get into spawn, but everyone just once again going to frag together once they have this respawn, as it was only Kuroi there watching the entire plethora enemy players being up and just completely destroying his own team there. I mean, they just got rushed there once again from Thomas onto tracks, literally just taking this this defense into his hands and out-DMing at least 3 players there, or delaying them at least, which was the most important part there. Then again, it is still a little advantage for Feila, as they have to look a bit forward maybe, but Joe just once again dies.
He does, he gets body shot there by Nutricula, but Nutricula does go down to Kuroi, who also takes down Max. So Kuroi stepping up and taking out 2 very important classes there. Fong manages to take down Thomas as well, and it does look like V3 are bleeding some players, and there's no Uber in play for them. Uber's going to be used by Feila, and they just charge forward, get a ton of kills. Actually, Sneaky gets a double kill on the cart, slows it down for a few more seconds. It's going to make it a 9:42 time, but I mean, funnily enough, that wouldn't have been fast enough to beat even their defensive time in the previous round. So V3 are going to be looking at this like, okay, well, you know, as long as we play like we did in the previous round, we should be able to, you know, win this round and take it as a clean 2-0. But yeah, Feila really struggled on third there, but on last they just barreled forward and managed to win that fight.
Then again, I really like having best of 3s, even though I'm a bit off-taken here, because when people maybe realize what maps we played in the preseason playoffs, or we saw what maps had been played out, it was almost always King of the Hill, and usually I'm a bit critical towards these kind of sixes oriented maps, but it just means that action shifts very fast in a sort of horizontal and wide way, where here sometimes it gets a bit placid. There are just people tippy-toeing around usual locations, don't go this far forward, so I think it can sometimes look a bit more languid, but there on the last point, what we just saw, they just walked in the Feila way, but on the third point, that definitely did not work out for them, as they just didn't get any space and just lost Joe so much. So definitely the court, the ball into the court of VENI VIDI VICI, as they have a lot of time to play here with.
Yeah, they have a lot of time to play with, but that time can often disappear. It can melt away if you don't get successful on a point or two. Mac jumps in and I think hits a pipe on the dispenser, but doesn't get much else. And that was a bit of a, I mean, less of a suicide wave, more of a dribble there. There's not much really got close to the combo of Feila, and Fong is just doing some spy check. And TK doesn't get taken down there by Sneaky, so a bit more pressure in the tunnel. And as you can see, there's a lot of V3 players in that tunnel, maybe trying to get some more kills here. Fong does go down. The suicide comes in, and Mac this time makes amends with the pipes, takes down Layla, and she's going to drop there. Godzeres with the huge advantage now.
The soldier was in for so long and didn't get dealt with. That took so long, and then them were just easy pickings there. You shoot pipes onto the floor itself. Explosive is going to explode into enemies' faces, and that was the +2 there once again. The third drop we have seen in this game, as they used quite early here, but then again also flash a lot of players and even have to get these enemy gamers out of the high ground, as the sentry gun is slap going to make them fall there. So much damage going to go onto the high ground, as Joe is trying to go out here. Layla Sui going to die. Even still, we have this modified map, but the gate does not help into their behest as saving them there. But once again, maybe even VENI VIDI VICI taking the third point now and looking quite well here once again. Maybe even want to tie this up quite easily.
Just call me a Hugo fanboy, honestly. Like, he's just done so much work. I know they had an Uber advantage, but he jumped in there during the Uber on first and managed to take out Honjo straight away. No engineering play for the entirety of that fight. That meant the sentry was just melted away, and then he jumps in again, gets pressure onto the demo and the medic. Then he jumps in again, takes the high ground on third, doesn't even allow a sniff of any sort of defense on that high ground. So Feila just had no opportunity to kind of retake third at all, and now he's taking forward again. He's all ready to go into map room. Joe goes down to Nutricula. Huge advantage of Godzeres. This could be an insanely fast time. They have this huge Uber advantage. The cart's not actually quite on third yet, but they could just roll this into last already.
Their defense is so ambiguous. I don't understand really what they're doing most of the time, though. Kurai also going to get sniped there. Nutricula just engineering themselves so many advantages. 7 minutes, that is way longer than any team has any right, first of all, and second of all, had in this game so far to push the fourth point, as once again, there are some options presenting themselves here right now, as two players are still down, both pick classes, as they can walk quite easily here just onto this high ground, as Aris is going to pop onto Mech, who gets juggled in the complete opposite direction. So we're going to fall there finally, but Gambit trying to link up, but once again, Feila have this Uber in the bank and going to counter it.
Yeah, those stickies that people often put on the balcony. Launch Mac, he does take down the sentry when, like, you know, his last pipe before death did take down the sentry, so it's going to have to get rebuilt when Honjo respawns in a couple of seconds. It is still equal Ubers, neither medics died, and like I said, you know, we were saying there's a lot of time to play with. 6.5 minutes is a lot of time to play with just to push the last point, even considering the cart is already down at the bottom of that slope. But we often see the time melt away. We saw V3 hold on to this last point for a long time, and now they're in a situation where they have to try and break this down, but they're just getting kills, Dom. They take down Kuroi, Unforgiven goes down, TK and Grip just get picked off. They have so much space.
And they even have the Uber advantage there. That was also initiated by Sneaky, just getting the sniper frag, and then they just assumed this pool position there, this map room position, just forced out all the players with their own sniper. Got so much frag, they don't even have Uber yet. They're just going to get aggressive onto later. Who hides in the Spencer? It can't block though. There are only 5 players up. They only have one little respawn where Pijaka is still trying to hide into the corner, but going to get burned out there. Finally, so many players still onto this card, as they have to focus all their attention here onto that now. TK trying to watch forward, trying to lurk something in, but it is utmost not enough. Finally, they're going to assume once again this card position. It is a quick sweep there, 2-0 to start your season off for VENI VIDI VICI. They came, they saw, and they conquered.
They did conquer indeed, a crisp 2-0, and maybe a surprise for some, considering, you know, the names of the team. And people often consider Feila to be one of those teams they expect to be challenging to reach the final. But V3 just showing, like, you know, they showed in the qualifiers they came up against another team that was more, you know, experienced in Highlander on paper, should we say, but just some great individual plays.
They are also Prem playoff potential. They're onto V3, but yeah, I mean, that is going to take it. CeeJaey, what a first game to witness.
Absolutely. To open the curtain on the season 22 of ETF2L Highlander, and the first Premiership game of the season is going to go to VENI VIDI VICI, taking Badwater 2-0 over Feila eSports this season, sponsored by Manco Store. We will have more action for you tomorrow from the season, as reigning champions SDCK will be playing against Kitty Barkham Bandami in our second game of the season. Don't forget to check that out. Also, we will have some interesting games this weekend. This is the second edition of the Lockdown Throwdown, a sixes tournament played on Saturday and Sunday this weekend, the 12th and the 13th. We'll have some great action there, surely, from some top Prem Sixes teams. Maybe some of the players you saw here tonight will be participating as well. You'll have to tune in and find out. But as always, check out all of our social media, check out our merch potential, and thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.